It is all we fight for in the LPL once again here as we welcome you back to week number 2. On to the Wednesday and day number 2 of the week, as we have to tell you one thing, and that is that the LPL never stops. It'll keep on rolling for as far as we can go. And we kick things off with a rolling matchup in BLG and V5 today. And as BLG have already settled in, you have a look at ADD, you have a look at Meteor, looks very, very comfortable. Quick swish around to Jinjiao, and of course to Kuro. You'll see a familiar face there as well as we do take a swing past Kuro. You'll see that XinMo over on his Apple iPod, whatever's going on over there. New support coming in today for BLG, so exciting stuff to see how he transitions in. That's good coaching there. Thank you so much. Give him a Dorito. Give him the product placement. We'll switch over to V5 because, as you know, V5 taking on BLG here today. A quick look at Max, a quick look at the new players in the LPL, and a look at Aliez you just saw there before we cut to us. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the LPL. My name's Jake Asterix. This is Mr. Clement Chu. And Clement, welcome back again on our debut day of BLG and to week 2 of the LPL already.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to call out product placement, but I'm going to let that one slide for you. Welcome back to our special broadcast. For further weeks, we are going to be broadcasting on Tuesday but there was no Tuesday played this week, so we were giving you something special on Wednesday and giving you something back.
Something looking forward to. I don't even know English. Let's just put up the standings, since we've already gone through a couple of days of the LPL, and so far, so good, I'd say. And in terms of what we're looking at in the LPL so far, I'm seeing familiar faces in familiar positions, Clement.
The big thing to notice is that our top teams are here and ready to do battle. They came out with dominating performances, RNG, FPX, EDG, all smashing their series 2-0. So they're looking to that stretch all the way towards Worlds.
And we've only got 5 teams that haven't played today. That's going to be short up quite a lot with Leaning, jumping onto Summoner's Rift. Still haven't seen OMG, Rogue Warriors. Bilibili will also be one of those teams facing off as well, as I said in our first matchup. That's where teams sitting right now. There's not too many expectations going forward. But BLG V5 I talked about before, Clement. Leaning and JDG coming up a little bit later.
Yeah, BLG is the matchup of the mid laners. Kuro versus the person that he replaced. Mole now working on V5, and we have to look a little bit more about how this BLG roster has shaped up during the offseason.
Yeah, of course, it's a bit of a revenge matchup, and before we do get to that, of course, let's look at what's changed, because I told you before, XinMo down into the support position will be starting today, which is why this roster swap, although it wasn't big at the start, now has big meaning.
Yep, does come from EDG Youth, always a team that's very known for coming up with good talent.
As the initials imply in EDG's youth team.
And he's been a very notable Nautilus player and also a Yuumi player. So between him and Max, I think Yuumi's going to be a high priority today.
I'm excited because, especially when you see them spamming out the Yuumi, Lux was also there in his champion pool. So both supports going to be going head-to-head in an interesting fashion, more so than you'd rarely speak of. Of course, apart from that, there hasn't been any other roster changes. BLG still Coach Sim on their side, still the main lineup, and the 2 Koreans that we talked so highly about before.
And this team, if you want to know their overall style, they are the team that is most similar to a Korean team in the LPL. You look at their style, it's about macro, it's about calculated control. They drop the most wards of any team in the LPL, and they also play the slowest gameplay.
Yeah.
35 average game time, but that wait is worth it. Their 5v5s are immaculate, and on team fights that they initiate themselves, their win rate is 33%. That's the highest of the entire LPL. Control the objectives, wait for the enemy to misstep, and then pummel them with flanks from their Korean imports.
And you know what? The game time stands out as a Korean style of League of Legends. We will call it that because it makes perfect sense. But the vision wards per minute, the wards per minute itself for BLG is so darn high. Their vision control is amazing. And that's what screams LCK style team and how Kuro and ADD have affected them. And especially Kuro. I mean, Kuro has had an exceptional start to the year. There's big expectations for him coming into summer.
I think Kuro is someone that you can never really outsmart on the map. He always does the correct move, and that shows in his KDA. He never dies in vain. Highest KDA of the entire LPL, has great damage stats, and most important of all, he likes to join the fights. He was the one that pioneered the Spellbook Zoe in the LPL, and his kill participation, number 4th, incredibly high. So you want to watch this guy start roaming on the map earlier on and making those smart map plays for BLG.
Because Kuro's changed so much in spring, and let alone what we knew from him before when he was on a FLICKR Freaks, when he was the mid laner going into Rift Rivals, and it was that hype Game 5 matchup against RNG. Now the new Kuro, 14 champions played in spring. There is so much potential for this guy. His best champion, of course, was the Lysandra right here.
Oh, yeah. If you give him something he can roam and impact the map, he will always find those angles to attack you where you least expect it. It's all about outsmarting the enemies for Kuro, and he's maintained that style. If you're talking about the 14 champions he's played as well, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. Aurelion Soul's one of them, fits his style to a T, and I think Talia is going to be a next big champion for him. Can push the wave, isn't about the conflict in the early game, and more about making plays in the other lanes.
The Talia was on the BLG versus either IG or JDG game, remember, or TOP. Remember the base race that happened off one auto attack, and I remember Kuro for that game for sure. But coming into summer, new Kuro, new me, he should be saying. I expect big things, but also paired with someone like Meteor, who finally, on top of getting the game right last split, got things right this split, has now finally corrected his name, Clement. No more Meteor. It's finally Meteor.
There's not much to say about this one, but I think it's the best change.
Bring it up. There we go.
There we go. There we go.
He's greater than Meteor, apparently, but no, of course.
I feel bad for the guy because the jerseys were already printed, so he couldn't change mid-split last time, but this time our Graceful League Ops has finally said, you know what? If you want to be called Meteor, we're going to give you that chance.
They printed the right name on the jersey, though, didn't they?
They did?
I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure. Well, actually, we're going to check that today.
I'm not sure why they stopped them from changing his name then.
I feel like, I feel like it's something you have to get printed right the first time. There's big talks about BLG coming into this, going up against V5 today. The one thing you need to remember out there, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't see V5 versus LGD, is that there's one core player we're looking at, even though Aliez look great, even though V5 have Ben4, Y4 still on the roster, Mole looks like he's in his element after that LGD series.
Mole has to be the most veteran member on this team, and he plays very differently from Kuro. He's about killing people. He's about the contact early game, and his Zoe was absolutely disgusting. That's a sleepy trouble bubble on the right side of the map, and he was like, I don't even need that damage. That's how fed he was on that game, and he carried the team in that series with 34.5 damage percentage.
I've seen that 6 times. Every time, just like, that should not be illegal. That is Zoe, and that is Mole on Zoe. And funnily enough, both these mid laners have the same priority. In spring, it was the same for Kuro. His Lysandra was great, but 8 games still on the Zoe, above 10 KDA, Clement. As BLG enter the stage, I have to say that for mid laners, pick priority will definitely be a high point in this upcoming series.
I think it all comes down to the mid lane. If you give Kuro a chance to roam around and impact the map, he will dominate. He will make the correct moves. But on the other hand, if you're Mole, if you like to play those Aurelias, those Talons, and those Zoes, he's more about the 2v2 jungle mid. And I think if he gets to keep Kuro at his tower, then V5 have a great chance.
And you see V5 entering the stage as we speak, looking at a brand new roster. Aliez top lane and Ben4 in the jungle. Now I'm going to stop right there before we go to Mole, because Ben4 was the jungler that came in hot last split. V5 were the team that we're expecting to sit just outside of playoffs, but unfortunately they fell short. They've now lost Jinu, but Ben4 still on the roster. It's kind of his time to shine as well. with the strength that we talk about with Kuro in the mid lane.
Yeah, and I think Ben4 and Mole are a great matchup against Kuro. Ben4 is all about those ganks. If you look at his champion pool, the Aatrox and the Gragas really stand out. He's all about getting his mid laner ahead early. I think Mole is a great pickup for this team, so it is going to come down to those two. Now this V5, a lot of unfamiliar faces. This is one of those teams that took a big hit to their roster changes, and only Ben4 and Y4 remain on the team. The rest of the 60% were basically taken up from their LDL team, which was 15th place, so expectations were not that high, but V5 had a good showing versus LGD.
Of course, talking about 87 that we've mentioned in previous broadcasts. Now, I do want to take this discussion away from Mole, Ben4. I want to bring it up to Aliez just for a quick second because he had an exceptional game one as well. It was the Nico Pop Blossom fight around the first Infernal Dragon. Very specific for you guys out there. I recommend tuning back into V5 versus LGD. But the synergy, the coordination from this rookie top laner looked quite unique. And I'm excited to see the prospects of him coming into summer. We've seen rookies dominate the Rift before, and in such a top lane-centric league like the LPL, this is the perfect foundation for him to build up.
Yeah, Aliez was definitely an eye-opener for me, and he's a carry-oriented player, much like Jinu was on this V5 team, so I think he slots straight in. His Nico was great, he has that teamfight presence, good teleporting, and also his teamfight on Jace where he nagged an unofficial quadra kill was pretty damn cool. So I think ADD does have his plate full. Now, ADD is a very different type of player as we're seeing him on the screen right now. He's more about the teleports. I think his best champion was Poppy last split. Teleporting around, finding those correct wall bangs to nail down the enemy team, and he works with Kuro tremendously. They have great synergy with each other, same play style, almost from the same mind.
I have a fun fact while you are bringing up ADD and talking about his Poppy, because you know, after seeing that game, Clem, it was you and I casting, and I was like, man, I'm going to go home and just spam Poppy. This was fantastic. ADD in spring, 4 games Poppy, did not drop a single game and ended up with an 11.8 KDA. So that is insane on a champion like Poppy that is always front engage. ADD made it look so easy, and we're expecting to see it sometime here in summer as well.
Really clash of styles going on, and BLG have a lot to fight for. Last split, they were 9th place, only 1 slot away from that vaunted playoff berth, but unfortunately for them, they did drop the last 5 of their 6 series. And I think they do need to shore up some of their ban pick strategies. A big thing I felt like really did not do them any favors was they were not a team that could play with the flex picks. If you think about Kuro's champion pool, he's not going to roll with the Akali's, the Aurelias, and the Jaces. He's more very set into his style. He has his own champion pools, but it does put the team under a lot of pressure when it comes to taking out those flex picks. Teams like G2, teams like IG have shown the way to play in the new meta, and it's a big question mark for me if BLG can follow up.
Seems like RNG is starting to adapt to that as well. The teams that did not go internationally, judging by the meta in 9.10, remember, we're still here with the Yuumi patch enabled as we go into picks and bans for the first game. I want to keep in the back of your mind that for BLG and V5, both teams looking for the win. BLG haven't started the split off just yet, but it's going to be judging of Coach Sim whether he can adapt for the draft as we go into game 1. And Aatrox has been left open for the first time in LPL summer history.
15 games so far, and this is the first Aatrox we're going to see selected. A lot of players think Aatrox is absolutely busted as a champion.
Including me.
Great flex, and his laning power has been greatly enhanced now that the Mutilate has been taken out, but a lot of the damage has been added into the passive.
We'll explain to you a little bit as we get into game if you don't know how new Aatrox shapes up. It is quite rare. Of course, we have seen it a couple of times in the LCS. And I'm sure we'll see it in the LEC, as it starts up over the coming weekend. But for V5, they've opted to take in what was left. It was the Nautilus, it was the Nico again, even picking up the Lucian in what is now a Sivir lane for Jinjiao.
Yeah, Lucian, a great counter to that Sivir, does get the slightly range advantage with the Q. And technically, it's always been considered a very strong counter overall. BLG, they might be showing the flex this time, so things to be happy and to rejoice about for this roster.
Let's not forget, in the LPL, we've seen an Olaf top, Clement. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's jungle for Meteor.
I do think we need to see a Yuumi ban here from V5 because that's such a strong combination with the Sivir and with the Olaf. We've seen this combo twice in the LPL already, and it's such a strong chase down composition. You get that prowling projectile, you speed it up with On the Hunt. It's so easy to catch up to people. So I do expect a Yuumi ban coming out from V5 next.
I'm curious to see because we've already seen the Lux banned away. They've been looking at XinMo's history just like we have. It's his debut game of the LPL, let's not forget. So get him out of his comfortable bubble. That would include the Yuumi, as Max has played before. But that finally gets banned away. Now that support's limited, let's see what BLG are left to, because they banned the Fiora. And for me, that's questionable considering that we've seen Aliez on the Nico before. But let's not forget that Mole can play it as well.
What the Fiora is trying to signal is that this Aatrox is going towards the top lane, because a lot of Aatrox's hard crowd control abilities are fairly telegraphed. Doesn't have the greatest matchup against a Fiora. You want to take that out for ADD. That's what it's signaling to me, but it also could be a front and still have the Aatrox go towards mid.
Yeah, Clement, if we do see it mid, it'll just be another champion to add to Kuro's pool. Remember, 14 in spring. I mean, that's insane. Meteor had 15, by the way, just to shape that up a little bit more. And as V5, we finally get around to that first pick. Curiosity now going to kill me and the Beast as Ben 4. Hello, Lee Sin. A risky one to pick in, but for V5, a bit of a confidence booster on Ben 4's back.
Lee Sin's pretty much one of those champions that can get away from Olaf. There's very few options in the jungle right now. We're pretty much seeing Rek'Sai, Olaf, and Lee Sin exclusively. So I understand the pick. You can try to kick Olaf away or try to burst him down. It's one of the few champions that does okay, and it does have good ganking potential as well. Now it's V5's turn to think of a potential mid laner to play, and I'm looking at the draft. So far, the Akali has not been selected anywhere.
It really hasn't. You know, we rely on the flex picks. Yeah, they are really the pits, aren't they? We rely on the flex picks in this meta so heavily. But for Mole, will he just return to something like the Talia? Okay.
Does lock it in, but Talia traditionally has had a very bad matchup against Karma.
Or is it the Morgana mid, Clement? Remember, they can both be flexed.
I think Karma mid makes a lot more sense because you can consistently push Talia in, and Talia basically doesn't have an ultimate if she's pushing all the time. I'm actually very curious about this draft from them. Karma's a hard champion to really lock down for V5, so where are they going to actually find the opportunities for Mole to be around the map? This is an interesting counter pick. It almost feels like they countered themselves.
It's really interesting, I think, especially because BLG got the picks that right now are considered S tier. Aatrox, Olaf, both these picks, I mean, Aatrox has been 100% banned. Olaf, 100% present so far in the LPL, Clement.
To be absolutely fair, I predicted that Aatrox would be selected today. ADD has not been the best of Aatrox players. I think he has highs and lows quite frequently. So maybe V5 are thinking, you know what? We can try and punish him on the Aatrox pick. He needs a takedown now to get his revive from his World Ender passive. So maybe that's what they're thinking about. And they do have the Nico for an easy Q onto the Aatrox. However, the mid and the bottom lane, I don't think they're going to have the greatest of times. There's a lot of push-in potential coming out from these lanes. I think Karma's going to keep the lane shoved in, and I think the Sivir plus the Nautilus, Morgana, yes, is going to have the exact same effect. So BLG coming out with a very strong draft on the bottom side of the map, and for V5, they really need to make things happen with Ben 4 to start their composition.
And hasn't it just been the story? Ben 4, early presence towards the bot side, towards mid, has been the demand in spring, and especially with these compositions that relied on the bottom side, especially out of teams like BLG that in the past, you know, can play through Kuro, can also play through Meteor, being aggressive with those late game team fights. We talked about BLG being like a Korean-style team because they have the longest average game time, they're slow, they're paced, they drop a lot of wards, and for V5, they have to get around that because this is a new V5, this is a new roster looking for their first win in the summer split.
Trying to find some cheers around the venue.
They do it now, Clement. Here we go. There he is. Some imposter tried to come in over the top of him, Clement. And then he came through. He did his Arnold voice. And then there was no more. The LGD chants continue on as we return to Hongqiao Arena here for our first series of the day.
Very standard opening from BLG. Once you have that Karma plus the Olaf, level 1 is an easy option. You have great chase down potential. So V5, they willingly give up their own blue side. They let the early words go in, but they do trade it back. So I like EV5's answer here as well. They're going to keep close tabs on this Olaf, and that does open up Lee Sin for a lot of ganking potential.
You're starting on the same side here for both junglers. Clement, while we do have a moment just starting the game off, walk me through a little bit more about BLG's draft, because we talk about their late game prowess, how they set themselves up in both draft and in the laning phase. Here it looks like we've got the exact same comp where we've got the ability to push, roam, keep safe like that, and move towards that late game stage.
Great Black Shield from XinMo coming out there, and talking about the compositions, BLG have a great chase down comp. If they take 5v5s, they will be able to run V5 across the map. For me, V5 really need to find those crucial picks before they ever go into the big team fights against BLG. I'm looking at Ben 4 and Mole as the key starts to really get that rolling, but as for the rest of the lanes, I don't really have that much hope. If they get caught around the map, they're going to die.
And I think it's kind of indicative of BLG. Slow, let it pace out, as you said, and looking towards V5 for those picks. You can see already denying that with early vision. There were 3 wards towards the blue side jungle where Ben 4 was coming down and is now spotted out. So BLG have a very good read on what's going on. Even though Mole tried to be aggressive with Meteor towards the Raptors, he got nothing off. Junglers just heading towards that bottom side where we expected the action to kick off.
And Kuro played this extremely safe. Now, Karma does have the potential to just simply push the lane out, but he knew that Lee Sin was going to come in from the top side with the red buff, close in on his own lane, held it close to his tower, and now he has a lot of control. He's going to outtrade Mold quite easily. That lane is difficult for Talia to play, to say the very least.
Yeah.
And I just want to see if V5 and Ben 4 can find that early move into the mid lane, or else this is just going to be consistently the scenario in the mid. Mole's going to find it so hard to actually roam out. And Meteor's already here.
I mean, that's the shove that we're expecting. Mole just trying to dodge away as underneath turret. Jinjiao has to be careful where he stands. That's an Ignite. A flash burned out as well. XinMo way too far forward. The rookie in the support might have been caught out. The Ignite gets dropped down, but there's the flash. The charge is down. And Nautilus suddenly finds a pesky few. Almost gets the trade-off onto Y4, but an instant double kill. And V5 right to start the party.
That was insane from Y4. He positioned to get his Q on 2 targets and finish off the fight. A small mistake from Jinjiao where he spell shielded a little bit too late, took the tower shot, and BLG's bot lane that should be pushing this entire game is suddenly facing a lot of trouble.
That negates everything the way Meteor's been playing, looking towards the mid lane, suddenly pressure down the bottom lane, and a double kill to the Lucian 80 carry. This kicks things off right. There's already sustain in that lane. We'll get another look how BLG walked right up to this turret to die.
That just feels so bad from Jinjiao. He was only a millisecond away from getting that spell shield down, but unfortunately gets dragged in. Great Riptide here, and watch Y4 as he gets it. Well, actually doesn't get the double Q, but still finishes out anyway, hiding in the bottom brush where BLG bot lane does not have vision.
Bit of experience there, but then again, Y4 and Jinjiao, you know, you're kind of on different levels, kind of on same levels, I should say. But Y4 just showing his prowess in that quick double. Big lead for the bottom lane. Opening goal for V5 stands at 1,000. And where it was going to go well for BLG, now suddenly there's pressing issues as the tempo starts to build up for V5.
Yeah, it really doesn't look good for BLG at the moment. V5 don't need to crack mid anymore. They can just go bot and achieve the same effects. As long as Ben 4 is hiding around this corner of the map, I really doubt BLG's bot lane will be willing to push up.
Well, the bottom lane had an issue before, but V5 are going to have an issue with the mid laners. Meteor in the 2v2 is just so much stronger than the Lee Sin. We know what Olaf does, and even though he hasn't backed, look at the item difference that's about to occur due to the fact that he's 10 CS up in the jungle.
Definitely is the case. That's what's so strong about Olaf now, and he's one of the fastest farming junglers, and these days the build has been straight to warriors. You get that extra undertow damage, you'll clear much faster, and a lot of times we see the Olaf simply running away with the map, just getting level and CS leads. Oh, this is a bit of a mistake from BLG.
Double control ward.
We call those the IG wards because they show that you're rich.
And they do that a lot as well, fun fact. So V5 going to cash in an extra 60 gold while Ben4 makes his way to the bottom lane. XinMo a bit aggressive, gets a Sonic Wave, but where's the Resonating Strike? Because the TP advantage now as V5 have to rotate more, but Max already been called out. They throw a stone down, but they've already forced out the summoners of V5. They run for the hills. BLG get one on the board.
Much better rotation coming in from Kuro. He was closer to the fight, and he didn't even have to use an ultimate for that. So that's just the lane priority sinking through the other sides of the map. BLG, I don't think that was the best start of the fight, but they did have Kuro in mind, and he was there to save that engagement.
Yeah, it could have been so much worse if Mole wasn't there to kind of push them back as well. He starts roaming, much like the mid laner of BLG. Starting to output some damage as well, but that kill going over to Kuro already have the scenes building up here in the mid lane. And I'm excited to see where BLG can recover this because gold much down to a slimmer margin. Now, bottom lane doesn't feel as bad as it was before for BLG.
And crucially for V5, they do escape with Y4, so that bounty is not taken away from him. He's still happy with his 2 kills. And on the other side of the engagement, you could also see how over-leveled Olaf was in that fight. It was a level 5 to level 4 from the Lee Sin, and this is going to be very common in the games going forward. Olaf currently in the LPL, 73% win rate, is by far, hands down, our best jungler in this patch.
That's right, and like other regions, or unlike other regions, I should say, it's a Cinderhulk Olaf that we're still seeing. I believe LCS. I got to start quoting some names here. But
it's mainly been Warriors in the LPL, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So LPL, I haven't seen anything since we've come into summer, apart from the Warriors. With Meteor, you can see the clears coming through quite nicely, as Poke does too from XinMo. He'll dredge line away. That was interesting, but managed to teleport out of there.
Does get out, but it does seem like BLG are setting up for that blue side.
Ocean Dragon to negate the early game.
Great move by their part. They know the Lee Sin isn't on this quadrant of the map. Not much V5 can do here.
The Laser Beam Gunman is walking towards him though at level 6. Just goes for the engage. Cole's going to come out looking for the Olaf. He finds it. Y4. Is he going to survive yet again? Jinjiao almost gets kicked for the range advantage, but he's going to die as well. Flash towards the back of the pit. Get out of there, champion! What's happening? Run! Never mind that, because the Dragon Pit has taken 2 victims today. A 1-for-1 and even a flash from Kuro. The trade-off for BLG, it's okay, but Jinjiao just didn't want to flush out.
V5 arrive on the scene late, but they actually get the extra kill in this situation, and that was such a good kick from Ben4. It looked like he was kicking the Sivert towards the direction of the Lucian, but you can't auto-attack mid-air, so that was a completely safe play right there, and it does save the life. I was very curious about Y4's engage. You're going straight up against a Morgana and an Olaf, but that was all calculated down to the very last auto-attack. Good save by Ben4 there, and good on Y4 to not turn around.
I'm curious. Oh, okay, there's obviously there's a spectator bug in the, when we come out of the replay client, the cooldown on Flash was there. So I apologize about that one while we see the Pop Blossom in the top lane. Hello, ADD into the ultimate form. He needs a kill to revive. He actually does find the heal. That's why Aatrox is broken, because in a 1v1, he just heals it all back up.
With Conquerors and the passive finally ticking off, it looked like he was going to go down. He was 2 auto attacks away, but the extra range on the Deathbringer stance, giving him the upper hand in that matchup. And one of those ADD solo kills. When he gets a solo kill, you know it's a good day for ADD. The ADD die is a 6.
You see, well, it's a 10 out of a 10, Clement.
I don't think there are 10 dies, though.
Doesn't matter. It's 10 out of 10 is my rating, and I'll stand by it. ADD picking up the solo kill there. Now for BLG. Once again, I say this. The bottom lane negated, and we talked about how V5 need these picks. They're getting destroyed again. Kuro forces the flush out of Mole as Meteor's nearby. The chain will not connect, but getting the summoner out means that Meteor can come right back in.
And that might not look like a necessary flash, but a lot of people don't know how much damage Warrior Olaf can do. Yeah. It's actually insane. We saw in the set EDG, JJ, who was chopping people down left and right, just like that.
Let's just watch it again at half health. It does force the flash over the side after using the Ragnarok, so the summoner for Meteor is not going to be worth as Ben4 just claws his way out. But we're starting to see the damage, like you mentioned, Clement, and the Olaf is starting to powerhouse through this game.
This is quite a detrimental swap coming in from V5, but can Mole survive?
Engage. When Undertow lands, who's ready to party? Well, Mole's not. Nice nut there from XinMo. A close range one at that.
Dodges the Q, but can't move out of the Dark Binding, and he does go down. BLG just had so much priority when that swap happened from V5. If you saw what V5 was doing, they were swapping as both of their side lanes were getting pushed into their towers.
Yep.
And that was a very good response from BLG. We don't have any pressure in the side lanes. We can actually just group and take out members on the map.
This just keeps happening, whether it's side lane solo kills or BLG catching V5 out. Starting to show how the experience comes into the equation. The two Korean solo lanes in very good position, and the bottom lane has recovered from what that 3-kill Lucian was starting to do. So at this point, V5, limited options on the board. They can get the Rift Herald here. They can look for the top lane, look for the mid lane, get turret plating while it still stands.
Overall, I do favor BLG's move here. Even though V5 is going to get the Herald, think about what BLG got. They got double sums from Mo, they got 2 turret platings, and they actually got a lot of CS leads on their other solo lanes as well, as they didn't have to come to these lanes as soon. So overall, I think BLG's experience has actually showed up big here.
This is for BLG trying to force the issue now in the top lane alongside V5. Because Mole's walked up here, has the Weaver's Wall that we have not seen as of yet in this game number 1. There's a Rift Herald in hand of Ben 4, but he chooses not to use it in the top side. He's backing away. Turret plating was available, but you can't trust it with the Sivir, can't trust it with the Morgana bottom lane that is going to clear it faster.
And once more, we see V5 going for a potential swap here, moving into the 1-3-1. They have Talia covering the top side, but mid, again, wide open. It's going to give Kuro a little bit more time on that tower.
Yeah, close to that next plating Clement. Nautilus comes in just to save the day at the last moment. And that tempo that we talked about at the start has more than truly disappeared for V5. It's in the hands of Y4, but Ben 4 hasn't had that much proximity with him. The bottom lane hasn't continued to strive. So now Y4 moves to the mid, turret plating still available, and that Ocean Drake's coming up next, where you think there should be a fight around it from BLG.
Great steady going from BLG. As long as they remain grouped up for this Drake fight, I don't think V5 has an easy way into it.
Interesting placement.
Yep, seems like a fork here. If you look at the time that it's going to take that Herald to get actually into lane, it's going to allow them to push this wave in first, and they should have an easy transition towards the Drake.
A lot of wave clear though here from BLG. The Rift Herald will charge in that turret plating for Y4, but it doesn't take that much. Whether it was optimized well, ladies and gentlemen, you at home can decide that, but right now for BLG, they still stand strong in the mid lane, while V5 are looking for options for that pick potential. And you can see how Mole can do it with the seismic shove and the damage follow-up from Ben 4 as he has warriors. So it's not like V5 will not get the kill instantly. And like I said, the Dragon's coming up and is sitting there now. So you're expecting to see that fight maybe start around the mid or the river as we saw there with the binding.
Y4 still very strong at this point, already with the completed items. So BLG, I like that idea. First off, they want to see if they can get a lucky catch onto Y4. If he's down, this is a free Drake for sure. They have great wave clear potential in the mid lane with Jinjiao. So they're holding on to both things at the same time. And if you look at their top lane wave, it's also pushing as well. So BLG can decide to just hold this position, and they should be slowly able to get a lead out of it.
If V5 on the wrong side though, Clement, let's ask Olaf, because Y4 just gets knocked out with his socks out as well. And I see Ben 4 on the backside of things. Pop Blossom, down it goes. Aliez once again finds a miracle run, but he's already been caught back on down. It's Aatrox who will now find his World Ender accelerated into the fight. BLG take down the Nico and look for a little bit more, but ADD getting forced out himself. The World Ender has finally ended, and V5 come out behind.
So many good moves by BLG there. Their front line just staggered back and forth and goaded V5 to walk into their compositions. If you look at the scene general overall, V5 think they have a chance at this break. No jungler from BLG.
Black shield onto ADD. Clement, Max is 4 levels behind the Aatrox though, so wise move for the support to get out. And before it was a 1-for-1 trade, which means Meteor had to reposition, has to come to this Ocean Dragon, which V5 had decided to start up.
Very dicey situation. BLG still need to wait for Olaf, but they can deal a lot of damage here.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he has his first item, Clement. There was a Caulfield's Warhammer there, and that's about it. So damage still coming out of the Sivir, but Ocean Dragon mitigated, while BLG might now have the freedom to get the double.
Hey, BLG might have only gotten 1v1, but I think their play later was far superior to V5. V5 decided to go for a very risky objective take. They're now behind on the map. They need to reset. And BLG should get even a little bit of damage onto that mid lane tower. So let's watch this fight again. Key thing here, I think BLG, their front line played this so well. They see the Lucian get caught up. They go in, force him out of the fight early, and then they're still able to back out. Olaf is still alive in this part. You see Mo with a very short ultimate that doesn't really get much. Aliez seems like he's about to ace the fight, but great flashes across the board. They do manage to only go down with 1 kill, and then the rest of V5 has to flee.
V5 was so darn low, but you could see what the potential of Aliez' Pop Blossom was going to be. So a good effort that this top laner is still attempting to find these engages from V5, but when you look at the gold, it's not like it's ridiculous. It's not out of control at all. In fact, V5 now have the lead and now have the engage on the XinMo as the Black Shield comes down. That's multiple lines of CC to get the support kill. It goes to the Lee Sin, much needed for the jungler of V5.
Great move right there. You can see the Riptide actually canceling out the Black Shield. So still got the knock-up onto XinMo. And that's just one of those rookie mistakes, thinking the 2v3 would be safe with Sivir's wave clear. Not the case.
He's been very far forward. Of course, we've seen this multiple times out of rookies in the LPL as they enter the stage. It looks a little bit difficult for them. That's rough. XinMo's had a good game to start things off. There you go, folks. It's much better.
This is such a huge tempo swing for V5. They get 2 towers in the same play. Karma was already in place, but she didn't want to go up and try to defend the tower. Knew the rotation was coming in for V5. So V5, they essentially get something for nothing. They're taking the Herald, but there is enough pressure there where Kuro's like, you know what, I can't stay here. So 2 towers in their favor. Really good swing, and it gives them a lot more map control on the top side to then swing members down towards bot.
That coupled with the support kill, I mean, that's a 2k gold lead now developing here for V5. We always talk about this composition, well, we always talk in the last 18 minutes about how this composition needs to find its picks. They've been doing that. V5 have been very proactive, and the Lucian is still so darn fed. Doesn't matter what you do, Y4 still has a monstrous lead, and now V5 trying to force it again as they find Meteor in the brush onto 2 people. He still just doesn't die with the Black Shield. ADD finds his way in as well, and Ragnar Lothbrok just runs at him face first.
I do not advise walking into brushes where there is a control ward. They knew that the control ward was there. They didn't know that the Olaf was there as well. So a little bit of a misplay coming in from V5, and BLG just anticipating enemy moves so well. Like Meteor, he actually has a very high damage share on this BLG squad. He's very good in these late game team fights. He knows what he's doing, and he plays the map with his mid lane very well.
He always kind of rotates around his mid laner, around his top laner quite a lot. I know it could be a general statement, but let me elaborate for you. Meteor been hanging around Kuro a lot this game. And Jinjiao's been following closely behind. So you can see already Ardent Sensor, Athene's Unholy Grail, the 2-item Karma. He's going to be buffing up this mid-game Olaf. He has a double Ocean, soon to be a triple if BLG find this. That is Olaf material that will annoy you so much. And even Aatrox, a triple Ocean on a new Aatrox who is a built-in Death Dance. I mean, come on. Like, this champion shouldn't even be on someone's wrist right now, let alone get these kind of dragons.
BLG's front line is inevitable. They are CC immune. They even revive themselves, and they have a ton of speed boosts. So even though Y4 might be 3-0-3 right now, he's not going to have a fun time in these team fights. He doesn't really have a tank that can stand up to BLG, and that's the difference between these compositions. If BLG get to play their rundown, they find their targets, it's so easy for them to execute, press your buttons at the same time. While V5, they really need to find lane priority and get picks. If they don't find those type of scenarios where they can take BLG down one by one, they have no realistic shot when it comes to that Baron contest.
And there is opportunity because BLG is spreading out. They're fanning to get rid of this vision around the Triple Ocean. And it means that BLG is starting to walk into V5's jungle. And even now, ADD onto Aliez. I think this 1v1 ends pretty quickly as Aliez finds out the hard way. There's the flash underneath the turret. The hose comes out as well. ADD still wants this. Pop Blossom into the death, it seems. Skadunkaroo as Kuro comes in. How are you?
Such a smart lane allocation coming in from BLG. ADD plus the Karma dive, there's nothing V5 can do about it. Mole is on the top side of the map. He cannot rotate. Mid lane is losing in terms of lane priority. So just a swift move, they get kill and tower. These are the smart plays that we were talking about from BLG. High percentage, they're not reliant on mechanics, they're reliant on reading the map correctly.
think for BLG, the kill is good, but the triple ocean would be my bigger concern. Go ADD, face burst. But of course, that's not going to be the case. That's the ocean denied. At least one picked up here for V5. And gold is still even technically. So if they can find a pick once again, things get a little bit trickier. But of course, they don't. Dragon out. BLG lose their opportunity.
You are one bloodthirsty play-by-play.
I want to say, it's almost like I was born in the LPL. I know I wasn't, but man, 13 kills, 21 minutes. Even this is fast for BLG.
It definitely is. It's
oh no,
much
again?
Than that 35.
Why is this happening again? The World Ender onto Aliez. Yeah, pop up the Blossom because he needs to get out of there. ADD is chasing him down. Hungry, bloodthirsty Clement. Those are the words of ADD who will now revive. Too late, I'm afraid, for Ben 4. Kicks him away, knowing that World Ender will continue. That's another solo kill for the Aatrox.
The play was right, but it was a little too slow, and that's the scary Olaf that we're talking about. No Ragnarok puck even yet for Meteor.
Ben 4 sticking around. Dangerous stuff here from V5. And Clement, I'm concerned because Ben 4 just gets locked down anyway. Sonic Wave into the death, it seems. XinMo just locks on down for his first game. And Jinjiao flashes out just in time while the rest of V5 run for the hills. It's Max with the force flash. It's ADD without an ult who wants to come at me. V5 just under pressure here as BLG continue the push.
Always a day late on that Taliyah ultimate. There hasn't been a proactive one this entire game. And that's just the problem with the pick. I really don't understand the last pick Taliyah.
Get amongst it. Look at this. Throw out more stones, Mole. He's trying to poke his way out. I think Jinjiao would 1v1 him, I'm afraid.
He should be able to. Just with the fleet footwork, he should be able to dodge around. I mean the passive.
Safety first, though, for V5, it seems. This Colonel has flippity-flopped many times in this game.
Colonel, I have to say, his judgment on the win percentage was incorrect. He did have V5 taking it late game. I don't really think that's the case.
I don't trust Analyst Colonel.
Is 5v5 most of the time, so I really do see BLG taking this. And just look how obnoxious this is. Their front line cannot be taken down. They're juggling turret aggro perfectly. Ragnarok isn't even popped before they start diving the second tower. That's how strong they are. Ben 4 with a little bit of unfortunate positioning, putting it into easy range for the Dark Binding, and Jinjiao with a great flash. Mole is always just a little bit late in these rotations. Not much he can do.
The worst kind of Olaf, the one that runs at your face. That's what
every
Meteor's going to do. Well, some of them run at your face and they don't even get to your face because they die instantly. This one from Meteor, as he charges his way up once again, wants to do exactly that. The undertow comes through. Look at ADD with a flank, but he's delayed before he can get a kill or an assist. That's a 1-for-1, but the trade favors V5 here around the Baron. Big mistake from ADD.
Yeah, probably didn't read the patch notes. Still think he had the revive.
There's the dredge line again, forcing the flash. Another key summoner down for BLG. V5 might actually be able to find the fighters. Jinjiao's been caught out as well. Y4 can 1v1 him, but Redemption's coming down quickly into the Sonic Wave. Ben 4 makes the same mistake the Olaf did. Now for V5, this is a detriment because it's suddenly turned back around. Meteor's ready with the undertow. The seismic shove doesn't get a target, and V5 has slowed down. Jinjiao will never slow down himself. And although the ice comes out, ultimately it's BLG who trade 2-for-1. It's Mole left on an island, axe through the heart. His brother Rolo watching with ease. A full-blown ace coming through for V5, or rather against them.
Choo-choo, the pain train goes on for BLG, just chopping down every member from V. I don't think V5 should have pursued that fight. They used all of their ultimates earlier on. Wasn't in range to get the death charge actually on BLG to nail them down, and V5 just, they got themselves in such an unfortunate position. And you see this from a lot of V5 plays. They try to push for too much. The Drake play was the same thing when it was coming to the ocean, and this play where ADD gave them that window, I don't think they should have bunched up in that corridor where Karma could find a very easy Q, slow the entire team out. It was an easy retreat. Well, now let's watch this from just taking a look at ADD, did read the patch notes, goes down 600 gold. Like, hey, why didn't I revive there? Probably what ADD was thinking. And this was a chance for V5, but we can tell you the moment exactly where it went too far. Right here. Yeah. That was the frame where it was a little bit of Lee Sin syndrome. He was trying to get the E slow off for the rest of the team to follow off, but it really wasn't the best idea. And B5 should have let that rest. Kuro with the extra move speed was always going to be able to chase up to this one.
What did you say about this comp, Clement? Chase.
Yes.
You know what they're doing again? Chasing, on the hunt, let's go! And down you go, Mole. What are you thinking? Cullen comes out, trying to get the Olaf, but Meteor, dead or alive, it doesn't matter. He has a GA. BLG continue to swipe through B5, and now it looks uncontrollable in a 5v4 as they have the Baron buff, and they want to push right into that inhibitor.
They're just going to straight go. There's not enough damage to deny them their front line at this point.
Round 2, Clement. He doesn't have the ulti. He will just have to walk his way away. No flash burn just yet. Sonic Wave. Is the Resonating Strike going to follow through, but then for no ambition this time. Seems like the inhibitor just drops on down. BLG have broken the base in game 1.
Just making the game a little bit more exciting for you viewers out there. ADD doing his job, but does have the perfect timing to get out of it, so all calculated. B5 lack enough damage to actually take down Meteor at this point. He's coming in with double shields, and you cannot CC him. His unCCable duration is so high with the black shield.
Every time that dredge line misses, Max B is dying. ADD even steps up to temper that fact. As the Baron up, cannon minion will start firing away in B5. Another wave's coming soon.
The great wave clear coming in.
Oh, hello Viking again! Oh my god, into the GA. Pop Blossom though, that's the turnaround we're expecting.
Gets no one.
Gets no one, you're right, Clement. The Black Shield saved the day again, and Jinjiao starting to pump out damage, even though Olaf, the one picking up the double kill. It's Meteor again, who looks punishing, and it's BLG who are looking for this win.
Insane stopwatch usage there from BLG. They dodge out on all the AoEs. Meteor finds Mole, no flash up, instantly kills him, forces B5 to then switch around in terms of their targets, and then they dodge out of the Pop Blossom completely. Not a single person was hit right there, or at least they had the Black Shield to negate it. So B5, they can't take these 5v5s. There's absolutely no chance for them to win these.
Yeah, what you heard just then with the audio, that was PTSD for V5 at that last fight. And it's the game running away from them. And what we said about the scaling element, how we said BLG would just run away if it got to this point. Well, it's starting to come through, Clement. It's a 6k gold lead. And right now, V5, they need to pick more than ever. The Baron will expire, thankfully for them. But relying on Y4's 3 items on the Talia mid from Mole, even on the pick potential of Aliez, he needs to hit that core Pop Blossom on at least 3 members at this point.
BLG showing you the right way to do run-it-down strategies. Always finding the right targets, but maybe not this time.
Find Meteor, but there's no damage from Aliez after the Ragnarok comes out. Just walks his way away. Meteor will escape. That's an ultimate cooldown that's really not much at this point. While BLG get the top turret.
See if V5 can actually find the pick. It's going to come down to a
Meteor is spamming his laugh or his taunt. That's all you can hear. For Demacia, I hear. For Demacia this, for Demacia that. Will get over it.
That's exactly the way you should play Prologue.
Oh, yeah. I think one of the best skins in the game. I know Raz the other day said, what is that new J skin? Academia Jazz? Or Jazz?
Jace.
Jace, that's the one. Jazz. You like Jazz? No, Academia Jace. Not the best skin, Raz. I will fight you. But BLG, with their best skins in hand, let's see what happens here, because they're approaching the turret, and Aliez, I wanted to see the Pop Blossom is so defensive. Nothing gets done. ADD walks in. He's going to get the revive, Clement, because he got the kill at the last second. Max goes down while Whitefall sends out the culling. ADD in a bad position, but manages to get out anyway, while Mole tries to face front into this next wave. But BLG got the pick, and look at the minions in the bottom side. B5 are struggling to defend.
Way too much damage coming in with that death stance. He's able to sustain all of it and is over half health right now. The Ocean Drakes are kicking in. I think BLG ends right here.
I tell you what, there's something you can take away from this game if you're V5. Better ban Aatrox. There's a reason he had 100% ban coming into this, and there's a reason that is BLG. Send them back to their fountain. They'll take game 1 with it as well.
Have to say, BLG had a much more focused draft. You could see what their composition was trying to do. It just had a lot of speed up, front line that was unable to be crowd controlled, that could just run into the opponent. While V5, very questionable last pick on that mid lane. Yeah. The Kali was still open. You still had a chance to go for something like the Aurelia, something that had more of a 2v2 fighting chance around with the Lee Sin, but Mole didn't have a chance to be proactive at all this game, was always shoved in losing on the priority in the lanes, and BLG closed this game out in such a clinical fashion. Playing with lane priority, playing with the composition that had very clear win conditions, and they nailed this one.
And really, the Korean solo laners again for BLG stand strong as I would like one of those logos in my... The V5, it struggled to really read that. It's a bright logo. As bright as their futures, well, you decide, because in game 1, we did see good elements of E5, but we also saw the inexperience and the strength of BLG solo laners.
Definitely is the case, and I don't think V5 is going to let Aatrox through. They did have the Nico pick prepared right there, but after the solo kill and the Karma visit, I don't think it worked out very well. It's still a pick that you need to play towards, have it on the strong side. Nico, not the best weak side champion you can have there. They had a good start in those early games with those team fights. Y4, you have to remember, started this game out 3-0 and 3. But the entire team composition didn't have enough damage to actually punch through the BLG front line. They were down in lanes, never found the picks. BLG just execute their composition like the way it's meant to be played. I
love when you see a Sivir that just kind of quells the storm in the early game, walks towards the mid lane, and even the mid lane in this case, and the late game with a lot of pride. And Jinjiao did exactly that. Big Sivir in the end, but Kuro ADD really facilitated that game. And Meteor again. Meteor is just showing us that he's one of the better junglers. I know that we're talking about Xiaopeng, and especially the rest of the team here is very high on him in terms of rising junglers. I would put Meteor in that same boat.
Yeah, definitely. I think Meteor has a bit of a different style from the rest of these junglers. His goal in the early game, because his lanes are typically quite slow, they have CS deficits across the board, he's just to keep his lane stable and then play for the team fights. And I think he did that very, very well this game. His champion picks are always more integrated into the overall team composition. Great Nocturne player. I think the best Nocturne player we have playing those 1-3-1s. And this time with the Olaf, showing you how to run it down, showing you how to spam on Broloff, the correct way to do it across the board. So V5, I think they have a lot of work to do in the draft. Their strategy was, I felt it was all over the place necessarily.
Which really wasn't what we saw against LGD, I don't think. I don't think there was as much criticism in the drafting phase as, as against LGD. I don't know what the hell that was on my desk, like a metal B. But there wasn't that much criticism in the phase.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by the early priority onto the Nautilus pick here. Olaf was still open in the first rotation, so I think most teams in this meta would actually select the Olaf over the Nautilus at this point. Nautilus still has a lot of matchups where he's not going to do that well. If Zyrakan goes over to the enemy team, his ult doesn't do that much. If Morgana happens, you see what happened this game as well. So I think the priorities can be shifted around, but overall V5 need a stronger identity of what their team compositions is about. Because BLG will always bring an A composition. They will always bring a composition, and Coach Sim you have to give him credit here. Coach Sim will always come into a draft and be like, this is what we want to play today. These are the things we're going to ban out. We're going to make sure everything's tidy.
How do we get to that Korean style that they know and love? It's done through the compositions. Olaf gets them through the early. You get yourself into the mid. You're like, wow, these are our power spikes. And BLG did exactly that. Clement, we're going to take a short break if that's okay with you.
Of course.
But then we'll return BLG V5 Game 2 coming up right after this.